Hi, this is a very short introduction to disabilities and the elderly in Australia. Basically, there are about 4 million Australians that have disability, or approximately 18% of the total population in the country. People with disability are diverse. They have different types and severities of disabilities, and they do come from various demographic and socioeconomic groups that basically need a lot of services within the country. One of the things that we would probably need to understand is that one in two, that's approximately 51% of them, are females. One in five exhibits either a mental or a behavioral disorder as the primary or the main disabling condition, and about 6.3% of them have intellectual disability itself. 4.2% of them are supposed to have mood disorders, and a lot of data also relates within that to 1% of them with profound disability, about 1 in 3 with who needs a lot of health care, and then 1 in 4 probably also require property maintenance and also help in terms of household chores. So we will look at this entire field in a very brief way, but one of the things that we'll be doing in this lecture is also to help you understand with small videos directly relating to the cases that are recorded on the NDIS website. So as we said, the statistics first, that's about 17.7% to be very precise, or otherwise 18% of them that have disability within Australia. 5.7% of all Australians do have a profound disability, and that is something that is to be noted as well. Almost one quarter of the people with disabilities, 23.2% of all people with disability also require some mental and behavioral services which will assist them to live better in their own homes or possibly in assisted accommodations. We will be talking through this through the help of a few videos, and the videos are about, one is about a young child, it's called Ram, and Ram's mum narrates that video. John Coyle talks about his family of people with disabilities and how he has managed to receive services and go through the maze. Belinda's story is about a young lady who manages to do somehow her own work, her own interest and passion in art and music. Jack's story is all about how he negotiates a few occupations that he's interested and how his NDIS basically helps him to pay for some of the services that are very much required for him.
My name is Devi. I have a son, 3 years old Ram, who is enrolled for NDIS. Ram was born premature, like 25 weeks, and he was in hospital for 103 days. He had an intraocular hemorrhage of grade 4 on the right side, which makes his left side weak. So he's weak with his left hand and left leg. He needs so much of things like speech, he needed OT, he needed physiotherapy, even he needed many other equipment. We had an appointment of NDIS in St. Mary's. It was something new which I don't know about NDIS. They are the people who can give you a good support for what Ram actually needs. We met a planner. She said, don't worry, there are many other services you can get. She took all the list of goals we want for Ram to achieve. For me as a mother, it's a very vast difference what I saw him and how he was. because he's achieving all the goals which he has to. But now I can see he's totally different boy, using both the hands and legs. He's walking, he's speaking. Without NDIS, I can't imagine my life without that. From my bottom of my heart till my end of my last breath, I would thankful to NDIS for my son, to make for him walking, talking, and make him achieve all his what he can do in future.
For more information, visit ndis.gov.au or phone 1800 800 110.
My name is Belinda Marnie. I love doing singing and acting, and they're my goals. I want to be a well-known singer and a well-known actor, and with my acting and singing, to get work.
Belinda's been on the NDIS for about 2 years now, and it's changed her life because she's able now to pursue the things that she really loves doing and that she's good at, which is singing and acting. The funding allows her to extend those skills, and that makes her happy.
Belinda has a variety of funding opportunities within her plan. The core supports, which is the self-care activities, assist Belinda in her daily living, and this also assists Belinda to access the community. Belinda has a range of supports covered under the capacity building support budget. That includes improved life choices, which is plan manager, improved daily living, which is the occupational therapist. Belinda also has access to health and wellbeing support to assist her with nutritional meal planning and to enhance her psychological and physical wellbeing.
It makes us really proud to see Belinda performing and following her dreams. Belinda is really growing through this process, and we're really looking forward to the future in terms of the opportunities that might bring for Belinda.
I'm lucky that I have the NDIS in my life. I don't think I'll ever stop singing. I don't think I'll ever stop acting because I love it.
For more information, visit ndis.gov.au or phone 1800 800 110.
Hi, my name is Jack Krieger. I'm 16. I do soccer webbing. My job is house staff and then work hard.
Jack is a vivacious young man. He's very energetic and always having a go at things. When we entered the NDIS, I'd done quite a bit of research and I understood there was 3 options in managing the funding. So it could be agency managed, plan managed or self-managed. And immediately self-managed fit into what we were hoping to achieve because it gave us the most flexibility. We chose to directly employ people. We wanted to make sure they were the right people and really aligned with his goals. We've employed a mentor around finding work. We've also employed a sports coach, so a lot of riding to the gym, so it was for a purpose because he really wants that independence.
Yeah, I like soccer. I play soccer. Yeah, I learn soccer skills with my father. Yeah, I ride my bike. Me with my mum and dad. Me, myself.
A quick process around self-management. Firstly, had to tell the planner that we wanted to self-manage. We would have to set up a bank account for Jack. Julia, his mentor, would do some hours work. We would claim that after she's done the work through the portal, and then that funding would go into Jack's account and then we could pay Julia. I think with learning about the portal, it's not complex, it's quite simple. If you do net banking, you could self-manage because it really does come down to making that payment. We've just loved the flexibility, the building of the relationships and really being able to achieve some fantastic outcomes for Jack.
For more information, visit ndis.gov.au or phone 1800 800 110.
My name's John Coyle. I live in Tasmania. I have 3 beautiful children. My 2 eldest children have intellectual disabilities. Bridget, my eldest daughter, is 22 and she has what they call a chromosomal deletion. Riley, he's 20, he has autism. They are two different sets of disabilities and they have two completely different sets of needs. My wife passed away 12 years ago after a 6-year battle with breast cancer, and life has not been easy. It's been a hard road. When we had all 3 kids at home, it was 25 hours a day, 8 days a week, and I required in-home support. I simply couldn't do it on my own. And I'd have different faces coming in every morning. Someone you didn't know could rock up to the door who didn't know your children. As a parent, I just simply didn't know where my children were going to go beyond the home. The greatest development in all of that is the NDIS. One of the main things is Bridget being offered external residence and full-on support. I've got peace of mind in knowing that she's cared for and she's comfortable, and I've watched her grow and settle in, and she is making a home for herself up there.
Living here, it makes me happy and cheerful. I've been living here for 2 years. I'm happy because I have friends.
They've become a little community up there, and watching her become a part of that is what every parent wants for their child. She's finding a home for herself beyond me, beyond the family home. Riley, he gets fed up with being with Dad all the time. So every second Saturday and Sunday, he goes out one-on-one outside the home. So that's allowed him some individuality. And those days, I'm gaining a little bit of life back, and I guess that'll evolve over time too. I won't say I don't have anxieties, I do, but I'm far more confident about the future than I've ever been.
For more information, visit ndis.gov.au or phone 1800 800 110.
Well, we will now look at the older people in Australia. 1 in every 6 Australians, that's about approximately 16% of them, that's about 4 million people, are over the age of 65. Most older Australians live in their own households, that's about 95.3% of them, with just about 4.6% of them which live in cared accommodation. Half of the older Australians also have one or the other disability. Now that comes over a period of time, or possibly they were part of already an existing population with disability. 1.3 million older Australians living at home need some assistance with everyday activities, and about 2/3 of them, 65.9% of them, have already their needs fully met by the system and by the help of various agencies or by their own family members. About 2/3 of them, that's about 68.1% of older Australians, their reported income is around $756 per week. They do have most of the services taken care of. Now let's look at how this one fares around the world. Proportion of people aged 65 and over in selected countries. We have the red line, which is about Australia, which is from the ABS data, Australian Bureau of Statistics, and the rest of the colors is basically derived from the United Nations data. You can see that there's a fair amount of people in Australia in terms, particularly in 2015 to 2020 data, that where we can easily see that Australia, New Zealand, US, Canada, UK, Greece, Italy, and Japan seem to be having a very high percentage of elderly people. Now, with elderly and the frail-aged, very clearly, that's a kind of a time nobody relishes the prospect of aging alone. Senior isolation increases the risk of mortality. Feeling of loneliness can negatively affect both physical and mental health. Perceived loneliness contributes to cognitive decline and the risk of dementia. Social isolation also makes up for seniors to become more vulnerable to elder abuse. Social isolation in seniors is also linked to long-term illnesses. Now, once in more recent times, we have seen COVID-19 last 16 to 18 months. This has affected a lot of elderly, whether they are at home or whether they are in aged care situations. So in your own countries too, you would have noticed this. And certainly there has been a lot of negative conversations around care of the elderly in different countries. The medical effects that were found, particularly during COVID-19, in terms of how it has affected them, blood pressure increases, social isolation has already led them about their pessimistic futures, physical and geographic isolation also, as we know, leads to social isolation, and isolated seniors obviously need long-term care. In many countries, the younger generation could not visit their, their elderly. Those that live in their homes continued to be shut down for prolonged period of self-isolation. And those in care homes had visitations almost stopped and could never go out. So these have been some of the difficulties. And even if people had private insurance, they couldn't really use it for medical reasons. Let's face it, some people have said they don't have too long to live anyway. That's a sad philosophy, but in some countries they do care, in some countries probably they don't. Now, how did society react, particularly during COVID-19? There was this feeling about survival of the fittest ideology as if it has returned again, seeing the weak and the meek as a burden, sacrifice so that the able can strong and they can continue to live. There's also this talk of progressive eugenics. Why do we need to spend huge money on people? I think in UK, someone wrote about spending 350 billion to prolong the lives of a few 100,000, mostly elderly people, is an irresponsible use of taxpayers' money. They seem to be forgetting that most of the taxes were actually paid by these elderly people for a long time. So that's the kind of unfortunate discussion that gets us around COVID-19. Responsible use of taxpayers' money. How do you answer that? Having a war with Iraq, bombing Libya, bailing out bankers, doing tourism, operators, giving them more money to keep tourism alive, hopefully for a little later time, a couple of years from now. All these things are matters which need to be understood, not only in economic, social, and political context, but also to be understood that a great humanitarian idea of caring for the aged was put around these other important economic considerations. So we are social workers. What do we need to understand? We need to make elderly care as part of our practice, part of our research, part of our training. In many countries, there is obviously a very clear law in many countries, and there are many implications of that law. Every old age person needs care and protection, and the responsibility should be casted upon the society. And I, for one, would actually even suggest that there should be punitive treatment, in case elderly are abused. A fair sight, most often you can see this in Australia when you come, that there are smaller aged care homes where the elderly could be living in a room by themselves, or maybe sharing the room, or maybe in a ward type of situation. There's always ambulance that's available to them, and there is care in a way available to them. There are data that we have given here from ABS, that's Australian Bureau of Statistics, and also from United Nations, and a few other references that will be useful to you in this particular video. Rest of it, we will obviously have a discussion as a result of what you have actually seen in this video, and we'll talk to that. Thank you.